Hi Chewies, and welcome to the next video about how to play Lord of the Rings. This time I will talk about creating your own army in Lord of the Rings. In my first video I have said it doesn't matter what you have on miniatures, just grab it into your army and you can play with them as long as it is divided into good and evil. Well, this I have said is half true. But well, let's first start about talking how this game evolved. The game started with this book. This was the rule book from the Fellowship of the Ring, and in the book itself you got also an army list here. It was quite small, starting with the heroes here from Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship, with Frodo and Sam and all the other guys, Merry, Pippin, Gimli, Legolas, Gandalf, Aragorn, Boromir, and then some additional characters and so on. And they had all the rules in it. Then you had here the powers of evil and blah blah blah, all the stats lines for them. And that was basically your army list, all the miniatures that were out and all the rules you got for them. And there were basically two ways to play this game. First way was to use one of the scenarios here in the book. For example, the Bridge of Khazad-dûm. And in this scenario, it is listed who is playing here. For example, on the side of the good, we have Gandalf, Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. So the whole Fellowship of the Ring. And the bad guys are 24 Moria goblins and the Balrog. 8 goblins with spears, 8 with swords, and 8 with bows. And this was absolutely fixed. You had to have these models unless you couldn't play this scenario. So there was actually no real army building, you just played the scenario. The second way to play, beside the scenarios, were just to use the point costs here and build an army out of it. So let's say I will take here Elvish from the elves Gilgalad, and well, then I would place in some other elven archers here, Elvish warriors. With archers and shields and spears and all that kind of stuff, and I would create an army out of that. The same would do my opponent with his orcs, and he would place evil characters in there, like for example an orcish leader here, and well, then play against each other. That were the basic two ways that happened here in this book, The Fellowship of the Ring. Then two other rule books were created. This one here is, for example, from the Return of the King. That was the third rule book. I don't have the second rule book of the Two Towers, but well, here in this rule book, it's the game has evolved a little bit. The rules got more and more in depth, and also you got more and more well, new warriors into this book. Even some things you didn't have miniatures right here. For example, Warriors of the Dead, or the warriors on the little how it is called. Doesn't matter. Well, nevertheless, the book itself had also several scenarios, and well, it was the basic way to play the game. Either way, just play a scenario or play with a plain point cost. And there were actually no rules at all how to create your army. So, and then the Mines of Moria were created. This rulebook is from, and that's the actual rulebook right now. And still, you have here in this book your army list divided in good and bad armies with all the entries in there. and here are actually no rules how to create your army. You have here scenarios. In the little rulebook you have only one scenario, Balin's Grave, and it is detailedly said who is fighting. Here the whole Fellowship of the Ring against 8 Moria goblins with bows, 8 with shields, and 8 with spears, and 1 troll. So that's it. You can play the game with a scenario or with a army list here. But the time goes by and new releases of stuff came out. You had some articles in the White Dwarf and all that kind of stuff. And then Games Workshop released several books. For example, here we have the 3 books that are the best out of the White Dwarf articles. And in these books you got everything from scenarios over to terrain building, painting guides, and well, sometimes even point costs and stuff for new miniatures that were released. So let's see, where we have an example. Let's see. There. Here we have Bombard, or what is it called in English? No, don't have a clue. And also you got an entry for the ends. Bombard is in the rulebook, but not the ends. And this year you could, totally build up your own end and field them in your army. But there are no actual rules to how to insert him into your army. So then also some other releases were out of books. For example, here the Battles for the Pelennor Fields, or this here, this is the scenario book, The Two Towers. It is like a mixture out of White Dwarf articles and stuff out of the rule book. For example, this year's the rule book for Return of the King, and in the rulebook itself you also got scenarios and painting tips and all that kind of stuff. And this book is the essence of that without the rules, plus some additional stuff from the White Dwarf. And also in here you got sometimes new army lists. For example, here were Rohan invited. So here you got also the end, and they can see a difference. For example, here we have a point cost of 120. Where was the other one? Let's return to it. There. And here the end is only 100 points. So there is a little deviation, but it got the same profile. So what point cost do you use then? That was a little bit confusing. And then this book comes out, Legions of Middle-earth. This was the first time that Games Workshop made actual rules on how to create your own army. And here are the army lists, so with all the point costs. So here it is clearly stated how many points your warriors cost and how you can equip them with. And here it is written now with who you could ally. So from this book on, if you wanted to play a real actual army like Rohan, for example, you can't just simply place elvish warriors into them. You had to follow rules how to accomplish this. And well, in this book, obviously there are no stat lines for the miniatures, only the point costs and what army is good with each other. Then you had here also some scenarios you could play, generic scenarios, and those are mainly the things that are used for tournaments. In these scenarios here, there are no previously stated armies, like for example you have to take the Fellowship of the Ring. No, it is said you just play by point costs. And so it's like Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40k, just a scenario like Dawn of War or whatever, and you play against each other. So, but it was still a little bit complicated to grab your stat lines from all the sources. You had tons and tons of books here laying around, and you were carrying them with you to the battles to prove what stat lines your miniatures had. For example, in this book here, there is no stat lines for an Isengard troll, but I can tell you, somewhere in these books here, there is one page with an Isengard troll in it. So let's see if I can find him. Was it there? No, that was painting him. Well, it doesn't matter right now. Well, it was quite complicated. And nowadays, there are a few new books released that have, that is a combination out of, well, this book here, Legions of Middle-earth, and all the stat lines from the previously released entries. So I don't have one of those books lying around here, but well, the new books are divided in, for example, Mordor, then the humans, and all that other kind of stuff. And in these books you have also the army list, how to play these armies. You have all the stat lines for the miniatures, and you have in there all the rules how to ally with other armies. So it is a nice collection of all the stuff that was previously released. So in order to play Lord of the Rings now, you have basically several different ways how to play it. First, you can simply use your main rulebook, use all the stat lines here, all the point costs, and mix and match your army however you want. Or you play a scenario, and there the forces are predetermined. Then the third way is using a scenario and use the alternative scenario rules, because in each of the scenarios there was also alternatives. So if you want to play, for example, this scenario, that is said you need Faramir, Madril, Demrod, and all that kind of stuff. But you could also play it as an alternative scenario with 375 points at the good players, and the bad side had 625 points. So that was the next way. And the last way was using this here, all the new versions of Legions of Middle-earth. So, however you want to create your own army, I think Lord of the Rings is a quite more open version of creating your army, because actually the allied system here in these books is quite easy. Because all you got to do is, for example, you want to have an army from, let's say here, the Fellowship of the Ring. You want to play with them, and here it is said with who they can ally. And let's say, okay, we want to ally with Minas Tirith. All you got to do is choose one hero to lead the force of the allied troops, and then you take how many warriors you want. quite easy. Well, that's it for now on a little bit inside about Lord of the Rings. I hope you liked this little video, and we see us in the next one. You're Alexandra.